In one of the more exciting fights in the lower weight classes this year, Kid Galahad took on KIKO Martinez in a fight for Galahad's IBF World Featherweight title. This fight took place November 13th in the UK as a main event that had the Harper versus Bumgardner fight and the Billum Smith fight on the undercard. This was one of the best nights of boxing that Dazn offered this year. And Galahad, who was favored, putting that IBF World Featherweight title on the line, had hoped that his first title defense against Martinez would be a showcase for him. It definitely was a showcase, but it wasn't the type of showcase that Galahad had hoped for. This was something a little bit different, and it gave all of the viewers who happened to catch this fight something to walk away talking about. And that's what we're going to do here as we review this fight. Stormy B-Man's going to talk about it. To talk about the type of fight that you like to see as opposed to what you often get is a contradiction within itself. But on the 13th of November, IBF World Featherweight titleist Kid Galahad has selected to fight KIKO Martinez to defend his title for the first time in a main event. Galahad, who is a pretty decent boxer at the weight, was there to put on a show for his UK fans. But you can pretty much say that Martinez didn't get the memo. This fight started out definitely as a showcase for Galahad. He came into the ring exercising the utilization of his jab. He has a fairly decent jab as he boxes out of southpaw position. And he reminds me of former Cuban champion Yoel Casamayor. He has a similar type boxing style and movement. The only exception is sometimes he's known to fight with his chin up in the air. And in this particular fight, on this particular night, that one fatal flaw is something that would catch up to him very quickly. He opened the bout peppering Martinez with jabs and crosses that saw him even back up Martinez and buckle him at one point early in the first round. Martinez, a former champion himself, and also steadfast with the number of fights under his belt, but is also a noted puncher. But at the age of, I think they said he was 34, the former champion was coming off of a couple of very tough fights, even a loss. And that's what made him for the pickings for Camp Galahad. But there was a moment when he started to try to fight back. And as he began to do this, Galahad didn't respect the power that he brought. He didn't respect the experience that KIKO brought. And being another fighter from Spain, we have to understand now that just like the Argentines, the Spaniards are tough customers. Even where they may not have it in the skill department, there is nothing wrong with their bravado and their machismo, as Martinez would show Galahad in this fight. Coming back from being stunned, he began to work his own punches into the fray. But one of the punches that he managed to find was an overhand right. The overhand right, it just seemed that either Galahad didn't see it or he didn't think there was enough pop on it to respect it. So he continued to attack KIKO Martinez with his own shots and leaving himself open at times for a counter or two. As Martinez began to counter him, we saw that it could be a problem if anything powerful or with precision got through. He just was not getting out of the way of Martinez's overhand right. It was an action-packed fight, however. The type of fight that there's a little play, a little bit of give and take. And the audiences love that. I even think that Galahad loved it, because as stubborn as he showed himself to be, he was able to catch Martinez with solid shots himself. So he would stay in a little longer than necessary instead of landing his shots, getting off to the side or getting out of the way. He was pulling back with his head straight up in the air. Again, a recipe for disaster. And as the rounds went on, you could see that Galahad was starting to become a little fatigued. I don't know if it was because of the pressure of defending in the UK, his first title defense. I don't know if it was the strength of KIKO, which he may have underestimated, but his stamina was becoming an issue. And KIKO's overhand right began to land more and more as Galahad found himself in a real fight now. I like fights like this because even the fighter who is the proverbial favorite often has to do something to turn the tide back in his favor when things don't start out going his way. In this instance, Galahad started out strong, but after a couple of rounds, Martinez began to come on, and we were able to see some real back and forth action. So KIKO Martinez began to get his pound of flesh in and started landing his own shots. That began to be a problem that you can honestly say Galahad was not expecting. More and more we were seeing that overhand right land on Galahad. And lo and behold, there was a breakthrough. Martinez was able to break through with that punch right across Galahad's chin, which found Galahad fastly thereafter on the canvas, staring at the lights. But he was able to get up and get back to his corner because it was close to the end of the round. Coming out for the sixth, he thought that he would go right back out there, but we saw once again that Martinez was able to land that overhand right just seconds into the round, and as fate would have it, put Galahad down for a second time And that was the end of Galahad's reign as the IBF champion. He was knocked out early into the 6th round, and we saw that KIKO Martinez had become a champion again. Amazing stuff. You can never tell what's going to happen in the sport of boxing, because one punch can change everything, but you just don't know what's going on inside of a fighter, the mental anguish, pressures that they may find themselves under. And having to fight under those auspices, you just don't know how someone's resiliency is going to hold up. And in this case, it was Martinez who was able to stand fast, stand up to the punishment, and pull this victory out. It was a great performance by KIKO Martinez, once again proving that it ain't over until it's over. And I was starting to really like Kid Galahad, because he seemed to me to be the type of young fighter that was interested in taking on all comers. There were big fights on the horizon for him had he been victorious in this title defense. But I think he may have been looking ahead and looking past KIKO Martinez. Another dangerous thing to do when you're in there against a quality veteran fighter. So, once again, it's hats off to KIKO Martinez, and congrats to him for becoming a multiple-time world champion. This is all I have to say for you at this time. Shout out to the LDBC, Lions Den Boxing Community, and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Leave thoughts, what you thought about this fight. I know it's a little late, Stormy's catching up, but I just wanted to say something about this fight because I enjoyed it so much. What were your thoughts? Leave some comments in the comments section and we can still discuss it, review it, enjoy it again for what it was, a quality matchup at the featherweight division. That's all I have for you. Until the next time we meet, peace to everyone, and everyone please remain safe.